Hello, welcome to Convict Inc. I am your host, Robert Rosso. Yes, I'll put the glasses on since I've been outside in the yard. It's yard work day. Anyway, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you like this channel, please push like, share with your family, friends, enemies, neighbors, etc. It is Wednesday, excuse me. And I had planned on, I say this almost every video, don't I? I planned on doing a totally different video, but I would have had to actually sit down and do research more. And this came up. This is actually easy for me to do. And like I said, it's getting later right now. I wanted to put a video up for today. And I'm actually going to run to it. So here's the deal. The Aryan Brotherhood. And by the way, people, this is not the Aryan Brotherhood channel. I know I've kind of been on this lately, even dissing or seemingly dissing or whatever the ABs. This is not what this channel is all about. There'll be totally different content coming up. It's kind of all fresh, and I've been discussing with other people, so it's there. But because the ABs is a big deal and straight up gets a lot of views, I mean, I'm going to say that. I really should and intended to do like maybe one a week or something, but that's just not how I roll, which is not a good thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, but I just want people to understand that this isn't going to be about ABs all the time. California Aryan Brotherhood. We all know the story. Most of us do. Started in the 60s, 64, 65, 67, whatever. San Quentin as a protection racket, protection group that was always been mislabeled as a white supremacy group. Never, ever was. But anyway, members of the California Aryan Brotherhood or associates trickled into the federal system beginning in the 70s, late 70s. There we find key players, which will become big figureheads in the Federal Aryan Brotherhood, which was connected to the California ABs, such as Barry Mills, Tommy Silverstein, John Greshner. I'll put John in there, even if he's a dropout. John Greshner, T.D. Bingham, Barry Mills, whatever, okay? So let me be clear about this. When those guys came into the federal system, the West Coast politics and the West Coast culture, if you will, for whites trickled into the federal system also. Some of the things that I'm going to say, so some examples are, you're not allowed to associate with blacks like on a super friendly term. You're not allowed to eat with them. You're not allowed to smoke with them. You're not allowed to use an outfit, which is a syringe, hypodermic needle, whatever, with or, use theirs or let them use yours. Not allowed to tattoo on them. There's some other rules as well. Now, we all know from watching like shows like American History X, where the white supremacist goes to jail and he sees the white shot caller dealing drugs with blacks, and then he gets disillusioned with the whole white supremacy stuff. We know that happens. We've seen that. The ABs come in to California, and they had a very rigid set of principles, I guess you'd say. They did. And like I said, I did time in California. I had a neighbor that was black offer me a Dorito across the bunk area. Never talked to him before that day. Knew him like 2 weeks. And I get pulled up on the yard for possibly eating with blacks. So those politics are really real. So here's what happens. So the commission's formed, Barry Mills, T.D. Bingham, John Greshner. In 95, 96, they end up at ADX, which is the Alcatraz of the Rockies in Florence, Colorado. Level 5, level 6, whatever. One of the most secure prisons of our time, okay? They end up there. John Greshner eventually drops out. Barry Mills is there, and while he's there, the rec cages are open, meaning they'll put other people in rec. They'll let people rec together, okay? It's different now. I have not been there from what these guys are telling me. There's either dog lanes, if you will, where either one person goes to the rec cage or maybe you can share with two, but I think it's one. But prior to that, I forgot what year. I don't know if it was 96, 97 or 98. A guy out of DC named Fly, who's had dealings, knows Barry Mills from McNeil Island, Atlanta, USP Marion, shows up to ADX And according to Fly, Barry Mills in the rec cage at ADX, I'm 99% sure he said in the rec cage. It's on videos on the DC Black's channel, host Eon, shout out to him. Fly says that Barry Mills gave him a knife. Now, today, I talked to somebody who was at ADX and actually knows who Fly is. Didn't know that Barry Mills handed dude a knife, but said he didn't doubt it. Fly had a name in the system. He was who he said he was as far as running Lorton. This guy will say this on this channel, okay? I know some people have pushed back and try to question his credibility. I stand by his credibility from what I understand. I don't know the guy from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. And I have heard now twice from two guys, okay? One black, one white. The one was at ADX. But this is why this is important. Also, I should add, while they were at USP Atlanta, Fly says that Barry Mills was selling some of his dope. Now, let me say this. As a white guy in federal prison, not a gang member, as a gang associate and then gang member, as a normal guy that wasn't involved in gang life, whatever. So when I was at FCI Terre Haute, there really wasn't gang activity. I was around a couple other dirty white boys, but we didn't really do gang stuff. So as a guy that was just a normal Joe, I guess, I was a white rep at times at that prison, for the unit, I should say, in that prison. But as a guy that was in the mix, I guess you would say, do you know how many white guys that I know of, that I've been a part of going against, that have given other races knives that got hurt? So some guys make knives as a hustle, okay? That's their hustle in prison. They make good knives. And then a lot of them are dope fiends that do it. So do you think a dope fiend's not going to sell a knife to a different race? Of course they are. So what ends up happening is then the white guys find out, and then all hell breaks loose. They're either stabbed, beat up, or they check in, go into protective custody. I'm telling you, dozens of times that has happened, and anybody that's done time in prison in the feds will probably back me up and say they know of certain cases. The relevance of this is again, all that stems from the West Coast culture and Aryan Brotherhood politics. Even today, the gangs and the feds are largely, if not fully, influenced by the Aryan Brotherhood that came out of California and trickled into the feds. The first time I ever seen somebody go against the grain was a guy named excuse me, my mouth is so dry from being on. Brad Hart. California dude, he was in with all those guys. He knew all the brand dudes. He did California time, federal time. A lot of dudes knew who he was. Went out by suicide by cop on a bank robbery after he got out of prison. Always said he would. I was in his cell getting tattooed, and a black guy from Florida walked in, desperate to do a shot. And I don't mean, I've been dope fiend too, so hey, I get it. Dude broke his outfit, syringe, and had to borrow Brad's. But he said it in front of me, and Brad, you can tell, was messed up about it. So when he leaves, Brad really threatened me. Hell, I was new there. He really threatened me not to say nothing about him giving a syringe outfit to a black dude. So then you now look at Mills giving somebody allegedly a knife. What's the why is that even important? Do you guys understand what an influence Barry Mills had on the federal prison system and the whites that are still in there right now, even if a lot of them don't even know it? To find out now that a leader of the Aryan Brotherhood was a homosexual, and I don't care if it was popular back in the day when he was there, was a homosexual. People have died for being homosexuals from orders of the Aryan Brotherhood, at least in part, for being homosexuals. White guys, other white guys have killed them or beat them up. So the commission participated in homosexual activity, but nobody else can. The commission or AB leaders can give knives to other races, but not other whites. And if you do, they'll kill you. You can get killed. I also talked to a guy today, and it was a total fluke that I talked to him. Asked him if he knew Fly. He knew Fly too. He knows who Fly is. Fly's the real deal, according to a black dude out of California who was formally a member of the Rolling 60s. They're in some trouble right now, so formally. And someday he'll be on the show. He told me that when he went to Lompoc in 95, straight out of San Quentin, that the ABs rolled up and gave him a knife. This dude's not going to bullshit something about that. We went into a lot more. But again, you have somebody, an AB, that gave somebody out of California, homeboy. I'm not sure. I think he might have known him from California State Pen. Okay? But the reasons why you don't give somebody from another race that knife is because they can kill somebody white with that knife. That's the whole mentality behind it. As far as drugs go, the ABs, you're not supposed to get drugs from a different race and sling their dope. Now, that has been more lax, and I've seen that happen. But damn sure, if anybody of the ABs were on the yard, you weren't going to do it. Any other white gang members, I mean, there's other white gangs right now that you couldn't do it. You know, on the down low, a lot of dudes do, okay? But if they get found out, they can get taxed, they can get their sack taken away from them, the clavo, we called it. Or, yeah, I mean, guys catch out and go to PC over doing stuff like that. So I do believe, and I got to put this out there too. Look, I hope young people make choices not to commit crime and go to prison. I hope young people that go to prison think twice about prison gangs, because it all ends up in the same bullshit way. It does. And I got a lot of brothers I care about, and I got a lot of dudes in different gangs that I care about. And that goes for gangs on the street and big cliques and all that. It never seems to end good. And you always find out the leaders at the top are the ones doing the most scandalous shit. So I think it's important to put stuff out like the commissioners were homosexuals. That might not seem like a big deal to people, but it'll trickle into the systems and it'll resonate and people understand what I'm saying. There's people out there that get it. A bunch just think I'm smutting up the Aryan Brotherhood. And that's just not the case. That's not my intention anyway. My intention is to highlight things that you don't hear about. You hear all this stuff, and the ABs were this and that, and they were. And maybe I would have bowed to them too, okay? But you never hear the other sides of these stories, you know? You never hear that these gang leaders are hypocrites. You never hear that the AB, so far, all the white politics, don't give knives to blacks, don't sell drugs that they're drugs, which is impossible for a dope fiend junkie, by the way, me being one, okay? So you're always, if whoever's got the sack, they're gonna deal with, but you're not supposed to, according to them. No homosexual activity, don't give knives to blacks or others, and the syringes. So all those cases, I'm exposing here, putting it out there, whatever, to make a point. And that point is, it's a lot of hypocrisy. A lot of hypocrisy. And the ABs are not a white supremacy gang. They never would. They never were. I know some people don't believe that, but there's always a heroin brotherhood, money brotherhood. They did protect whites for sure in California. I do believe that. There was a big movement. The Mexican mafia was strong. Black guerrilla family. A lot of that civil rights stuff coming out, trickling into the prisons. Less whites. I believe that they needed something like that group to protect them, like the ABs. I do. They were protectors, and then they became predators. And all gangs after them truly will at some point turn into predators, and that's what ends up happening. And again, there's some gang members and gangs that I respect the guys in the gang, not the policies or the practices. Again, because I've seen it. It all ends the same. You can look at it, even the dirty white boys. Oh, the dirty white boys were scandalous in prison. All the rest of the prison gangs are doing the same shit the dirty white boys did. But now I'm going off on a tangent. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there. I am going to do another AB one right now because it's easy for me and I have things to do in the next 24 hours. Take care.